Hi. Hi. It's Rinky Dinky. Hello, it's Rinky Dinky. Rinky Dinky. Smoking a little bit of Escudo Navy Deluxe in my alligator blue Savinelli 311 KS poker pipe. I figured on my last video I was kind of hard on this, so I'd give it a try. The thing is I smoked a pipe a year and a half, about 2 years. And then I went away for a little while and I came back. Having left, not really by decision, it just kind of worked out that way, where I left and most of my attention was in smoking cigars when I would have a smoke. When I came back, probably that first month in, I started implementing the breathing technique, the breathing method. All the breathing method is, for those that don't know, it's a way to taste, it's a way to draw, taste, and smoke the tobacco without forcing it through the pipe in the traditional sense of sucking in through your mouth or using your mouth as a siphon. You just take a deep breath in through your nose. By virtue of the fact that the stem's in your mouth, it's creating a siphon as the air goes past your nasal passage into your lungs. It creates a siphon and it brings it in. It also brings in such a small amount that it's a good way to taste the tobacco while you're breathing, and it keeps you from having to break your flow of breathing and regulating your breathing while you're smoking your pipe. Quite honestly, if no one had ever brought that up to you, you'd probably find that you were doing it naturally. Because I think before I was cognizant of how to do it, once I learned how to do it and I learned what I was doing and I learned what it was and I learned the benefit of it, I realized I had already kind of been doing that at times. I just wasn't very cognizant of it, if that makes any sense. So, but the good thing about that is it allows you to take small sips. Well, there's a lot of reasons why it's beneficial, but the ones that I can think of off the top of my head is it allows you to take small sips of your pipe tobacco while not interrupting your breathing. So just the way I would naturally sit here and breathe, I could still put a pipe in my mouth, breathe just like that. I don't have to pause to take a drag, and I continue on with my day. Now, I do it in a way where it's a hybrid kind of thing. I'll do the breathing technique, and then I'll also occasionally take heavier drags, do French hails, take heavier drags, do retro hails, or just blow it out of my mouth or whatever. I kind of like bouncing through all three of those rolls, to be honest, because there's times I want nice, hard, heavy, thick plumes of smoke, and other times I do not. And the breathing technique is a good way, I think, to taste what you're smoking. If one, you feel it's too harsh, or two, every tobacco you should sip. I'm not saying you should sip the whole thing. I'm just saying you should always sip and gulp. You should play around in that whole spectrum with everything, because you'll identify different properties of that tobacco by doing different stuff with it. Okay? You know what I mean? Let me get this thing lit. So, as far as I know, I'm fairly new to the whole thing. I've only been doing it like the last Well, since my first video back. So however long that's been. What, 3 months? So I wanted to see if by returning to Escudo with the breathing method, if I would appreciate it more. Still burns me. But, yes, it's far more manageable. But I will say, I mean, I see what Amicus was talking about. The Preaching Piper said, you let it sit for 2 months, 3 months, and you have all this fruit bursting at the seams. I mean, I definitely taste the raisin, the apricot, the plum. That's all in there, but there's something about the harshness to it. Okay, it's a better smoke than I gave it credit for. I have to be completely honest. Yes, with the breathing technique, with the breathing method, I can see how through regulating my draws and how much I retrohale, it's a very good smoke. So I'll backpedal a touch here. This has been aging for 3 years. My jar says January of 2021. So keep that in mind. I may still be remembering what Escudo was doing to me fresh out of the tin or within the first 6 months to a year when I first popped it. Certainly on your tongue. There's things I do now I didn't used to ever pay mind to. I make sure to taste it on my tongue. Now understand, when I taste this on my tongue, I'm putting my tongue right here. And I'm flapping my tongue as I take a draw. Okay? You got to get in there and flap it. Flap it. Okay? Okay. I make sure to do light retrohales through the breathing technique. I make sure to do a good, decent French hail where it comes out of my mouth in a thick plume and I suck it through my nose. And I make sure to do a good thick retrohale. Problem is, it's hard to French hail when you have AC or you have wind around you. Old man is walked by my car. He looks like he should be smoking a pipe. Okay. Yeah, I'm picking up on the flavor. See, you can see my eyes are hurting me a little bit. I'm picking up on the flavor. I'm picking up on... It's unique all within itself. I cannot compare this to what I was doing the other day. You can't really compare one vapor to another, I don't think. So this is very incomparable to Mac Baron's Royal Twist Deluxe. It's just not even in the same room or zip code. It's different. It's its own thing. It has heavy apricot, raisin, plum. There's definitely that sweet fruit on the tongue. I mean, real sweet. It's pretty damn good, actually. So this is the thing. I'm getting better at smoking a pipe. So it's night and day. Like once you start kind of practicing those things, tasting it on your tongue, starting off with small retrohales via the breathing technique, then doing some actual heavy plumes of smoke, light retrohales through the nose, heavy retrohale through the nose. All those different factors coming together. I like to swing in and out. It's kind of how I do it. I'm sure I can't be alone with all this. I'm sure I don't sound like a madman. I like that lightness to kind of swing into something heavy, and then I reset back into a lightness, and then I swing back into something heavy, if that makes sense. It's typically how I smoke. Now, this does burn me. First off, I was going to say something and I got sidetracked because I do that sometimes. Squirrel! The taste on the tongue, the McBaron Royal Twist Deluxe. Yeah, Royal Twist Deluxe. It's also very sweet on the tongue. This is a deep sweet. So, I'm trying to think of how I would compare that. This is a very rich, deep sweet. Its color would be very dark. The McBaron Royal Twist Deluxe, even though it's obviously peppery, as I described, it's a far lighter color of sweet. It's more of a tangy. See, I don't trust myself. I'm liking this. God. It's the way it is, man. Again, I think it can take years to develop an approach to smoking. And I'll be honest, I always thought I had the edge on as far as coming to pipe tobacco, because I smoked cigarettes for 20 years. Okay, I used to smoke some doobies too. Okay? A lot of things in and out of this body where I was smoking. And I really can't smoke weed. It makes me paranoid. When I was young, it didn't do that to me. It's weird. But I thought that gave me some kind of an edge. And it's just, you can't compare them. You know, cigarettes are, you're feeding an addiction. I need my nick hit. That's really all it is. And I thought for sure that was going to give me some kind of edge when it came to smoking some pretty bold blends. But I've already had a couple. I'll do a review on it later. Some McBaron blends that were very bold. I don't think I do very well with it. So all my preconceptions, I was wrong. Sweet on the tongue. You wouldn't believe when I first started smoking. For 2 years, I didn't take the time to see how it tasted on the tongue, and I didn't try different variations of retrohale, a light one, a medium one, a heavy one. I wasn't really French haling it or doing any of those things. It's interesting. I can French hail something that bothers me when I retrohale it, and it typically doesn't bother me when I French hail. I also like a good French hail because if you catch just a little bit of it, you can almost get that room note sometimes, which I like. It's lit. I have a thing where I like to light it over and over repeatedly for some reason. Premature and unprovoked. This is a very good blend. Now I feel like a jackass. Dang it, no one's ever going to trust me again when I do a review. Good Lord, I literally was bashing this just yesterday. Or the day before. I can't remember when I uploaded that video. It's pretty good. It's spicy in its own way. I'd say the Royal Twist Deluxe is sharper, but this is deeper. The spice is deeper in this. It's richer. It's a richer spice. The Royal Twist is a sharper spice. Maybe it's a little spicier. I think the difference is as I've evolved as a pipe smoker. So I can guarantee you, a year ago, I probably wouldn't have appreciated the Royal Twist Deluxe because I didn't really know how to smoke pipe tobacco that well. I wasn't doing any kind of breathing technique. I wouldn't pace myself. It's okay to pace yourself, to walk into it. Try it out kind of light. You come in all hot and heavy and you fry your sinuses by doing some deep retrohale. It's going to take a while for that inflammation to kind of calm down. You're going to ruin your smoke, you know, unless you just smoke bold all the time and nothing bothers you. If you're not familiar with the tobacco, it's probably wise to kind of step into it. Anyways, I think I hit tobacco pretty fast and hard too. I naturally smoke pretty quickly. My employer called me yesterday after work while I was at work. Oh yeah, happy International Pipe Smoking Day, by the way. I made a stupid video. I was being sarcastic about how everyone was uploading all these videos in the comfort of their own homes, clean, fresh out of the shower and clean clothes. And I made a video where I was stuck at work and I was acting mad and cantankerous about the whole thing. I was just doing a short, but I didn't think it was that funny. I kind of did think it was funny, but I tend to think my humor is exclusively funny to me. Anyways, I was talking to Brody Joe about it today. He was like, "Oh, you should have sent it. You should have sent it. I like it." But he's so nice. I can't, I probably look like an idiot. But Mr. Brody Joe loves me for me being an idiot. I doubt everybody else does. I just didn't think it was that. I thought it was cheap. Had I actually thought it was clever, I probably would have uploaded it. I thought it was cheap, a cheap upload. So I decided against it. Anyways, I had to wake up at 3:45 this morning because I had to be at the shop at 5 a.m. to take a truck and haul a ladder across town 3 hours away. And that's all I did today. I had about 4 hours of sleep. I drove for 6 hours. I came home. I only worked 8 hours because it didn't make any sense. By the time I got back, it was a full 8 hours. And it didn't make any sense to go from the shop to a job because by the time I got there and started working, I'd be there for an hour. I'd be packing up and leaving. So it was just like, no, I'm just going home. Had an 8-hour day. Came home, took a nap. It was one of those. Man, I used to take great naps in between jobs when I wasn't working. I think I might miss that more than almost anything. Not really the naps. I have to be honest. I miss the naps. I really miss the time for the things I love. But some of those naps I could take when I was in between jobs and I had plenty of money in my account. My lease was paid off. If I take a nap now, I got to set my alarm. If I oversleep, I'll throw my whole circadian rhythms out of whack and I'll have problems going back to sleep. But when you don't have to be at work the next day, it is ultimately so beneficial and healthy when you're tired to just close your eyes. I don't think we're meant to sleep 8 hours and then wake up. I don't want to get into the whole, what we're meant to do. We do what we have to do. But I think if people didn't have schedules to meet, and we do have schedules to meet. I mean, just for the sense of agriculture and looking back through the eons of history, people always worked around schedules of the seasons because of agriculture. But in the first world sense of not having any reason to have a culture if you're well off, it is ultimately very healthy and very satisfying. You go to sleep when you're tired and then you stay awake. And I remember, I had like a year and a half of that. I'd sleep sometimes 3-4 hours, wake up, be awake for 8 hours, go back to sleep for 2 hours, wake back up, be up for 3 hours, or whatever the case, something like that. But I just went to sleep when I was tired. Like wrinkles on my expression, wrinkles and stuff on my face were going away, and I felt good. And it's miraculous what that will do for you, especially when you're cooking every meal and you're sleeping well and you're eating healthy, my God. And you're dialed in, like you're out in nature taking walks, you kind of just, you start noticing your surroundings more, kind of building like a symbiotic relationship with those things around you, and you feel like you've actually made an impression in like your local surroundings, like you have your, like you've left energy in different places that you frequent. I don't know. Life becomes more intimate, but we're caught up in this rat race of go, 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 go. I still think there's a way to have everything and it not be a scam, but that's just me, I guess. There's still ways to have all your first world luxuries and not be a fucking slave to the system. One day. A lot of the sweetness is disappearing towards the last third. I could tell halfway down. Much of the sweetness does disappear. Especially on the tongue. It's all but completely disappeared on my tongue. It's become more bitter on my tongue. And maybe vinegary. It's a good smoke. It's a good smoke. But thank you for stopping by. You all have a good closeout to the second half of your week. Have an even better weekend. And I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye. Rinky Dink out. Okay, that was stupid. The Rinky Dink out thing. I'm not going to do that again.